Yo estoy perdiendo, pues yo
aunque no era más, pero la experiencia.
Ella fue la que hizo el video de...
There are two musics, because all languages are music or contains music. So I occasionally introduce some pages, fragments, paragraphs in Spanish, just to make possible this combination of different musics. I like to read, and I like to hear reading. Once upon a time, the old ancient times, in my childhood, the teacher obliged us to read in loud voice in the classroom, and we hated it. But afterwards I realized that it was the best way to teach literature, because it's a musical art. I mean, words have a meaning that you can find in the dictionary, and have another meaning, which is a certain secret electricity coming from words that goes beyond the dictionary definitions. I don't believe, of course, in globalization, because it's a sort of internationalism of money. But I do believe in internationalism. I do believe that we human beings have diversity, that we are. The intimate personal story came about from a very hard period of my life, which I suffered a cancer, and I didn't know what would happen, and I suffered surgery, and I lost half a lung, and later the chemotherapy and all this. So the book was, in a certain way, an answer to this challenge. Perhaps everything in life is always, in a certain way, you know, an answer to a challenge.
But it strikes me again, this notion of the mirror, of looking at yourself,
yes,
profoundly in the mirror. I'm reminded of that great story of Borges, where he says that a man writes and he draws, and he draws ships and bays, he draws camels and oases, he draws and draws, and at the end,
read Borges.
Yeah, Borges, and at the end of his life,
he hated mirrors. He hated mirrors, and he hated crowds, but mirrors specifically he hated because they multiplied people. Yes, and as he multiplied people, he hated mirrors. I love mirrors exactly for this reason. And I feel myself full of people. I have so many people inside. Sometimes I hated football for the same reason.
speaking of which,
He hated football. He said it was the evidence that people think with the feet. He was a great writer indeed, but I mean, if I believe, as I do believe, that there is a certain identity between the container and the contained, I cannot say, well, okay, he writes it very well, but his world is not exactly mine. I live in another world.
I would...
I have nothing against him, but he was clearly racist. Yes, he was openly racist. The invisible see us, the forgotten recall us. When we see ourselves, we see them. When we turn away, do they? That's the beginning, yes. And the book is trying to answer the question. Trying to recover So many people that have been ignored, denied, mistreated, scorned by official history and the official memory. The memory has also private proprietors. So they denied us the right to be all we really are. It was so important for me, this impossible task, this mad project, this mad adventure of trying to recover the colors of the terrestrial rainbow, mutilated by racism and machismo and militarism and elitism and so on, so many ways of mutilating our own memory and our plenitude. We are much more than we are told we are.
About that at all in American news. Could you tell us what's going on? It's very exciting.
It's part of the, yes, it's part of the resurrection of creative energy in Latin American countries in general, which I think is healthy. And the recovering memory is part of it.
And what is happening in Uruguay right now?
We have improved our memory. It's not still a complete memory, far from that, but at least we are not so sick of amnesia, and there are some militaries in jails, which is really quite an advance, since Uruguay was something like a paradise of impunity since before it was the last 4 or 5 years that it began to change, and I think it's healthy. It's healthy to remember, because otherwise you would repeat life instead of inventing it. And the great challenge is to imagine the future, not to obey it. But if you refuse to know what happened, you will never be able to create a real democracy.
I was looking at the news today online, and just today they announced that the referendum campaign has succeeded in getting 300,000 signatures for a ballot that will take place in October to overthrow the impunity law, which is very exciting to read. What do you think of events here in the United States, where some people are saying that we should be looking back at what happened in Guantanamo and Abu Ghraib, and even Obama seems not to want to do that?
Well, I'm sure he wants to change this, but perhaps he's still lost in the bush.